one of the most famous questions related to this, of course, is the Fermi Paradox. And there's a bunch of solutions to it that you list in the book. But I want to know about what your preferred solution is. You call it the cosmic quarantine hypothesis, which has another name.
Well, so yeah, I mean, there's books written on solving the Fermi paradox. Allow me to just spend a moment, because I count myself among the ranks of educators, and just explain the Fermi paradox, just
Yeah,
briefly, if
please
I
do.
may. So, Enrico Fermi, an Italian-born American physicist, immigrated to America uh, during the time when that's when everybody did, who was a brilliant physicist. Uh, he did a calculation. This wasn't just a thought that he had. He did a calculation, and you can ask yourself, um, how long does it take to get to the nearest star? Because we knew the distances to the stars, we knew these things, and well, if you're at the speed of light, it's like 4 years. All right, let's even round that up to 10 years. Let's say it takes 10 years. That's the speed. Well, we're not going to ever get the speed of light. So let's say maybe one day we go 20% the speed of light. Okay? 20% the speed of light. So if you run the math on that, it would take 50 years to get to the nearest star system. All right, now you get there, you find a planet. Now you build two rockets that go to two more planets. And each of those two rockets builds two rockets to go to four more planets. So then you go 1 to 2 to 4. Of course, they can build more than two, but let's just keep the math clean. Each time you land, that civilization creates two colonistic uh, explorations. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And you ask, how many of those will it take to populate every single planet in the galaxy? And you run the numbers on that. It is 2 to the what power? It's 12th or something. You need to get to like 100 billion. Okay. Do you know that off the top of your head? Two
I
to
do
what
not.
power is
Come
100
on.
billion? Okay. So it turns out, add up all the time that would require. Okay. And it's a fraction the age of the universe, a fraction the age of the galaxy. So what he said was, if a civilization wanted to do it, they could have done it, and they would have already done it by now, and they should have already shown up here.
Right.
So he
I
didn't
didn't know
just
that's what he said.
so he didn't just pull this out of some body orifice. He actually thought that through. Okay, at least in the version of the story I heard, which was very early on, before it was widely talked about in books.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not, if aliens are out there, where are they? There's a reason for asking, for suggesting that they should be here. Okay, so I'm not into the quarantine hypothesis. Here's what I want. My colleague came up with this, Steve Soter, who co-wrote the original Cosmos with Carl Sagan,
Oh,
and
wow.
the first of the two Cosmoses. Is that a word, Cosmoses? That I hosted. And I assume Cosmos got to the UK, I presume?
It did, yeah, it
No,
did,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it was fabulous.
And you didn't dub me with someone with a Brit accent?
No, 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 no. Brian Cox wasn't around yet.
There you go. I don't know how offensive an American accent is to the British
No,
ear.
no, come on. Your tone is so calming.
Oh, wait, no,
it's so
I'll give you a
lovely to
calm tone.
listen
Here you
to.
go.
So yeah.
Welcome to the universe. I'll give you a calm tone. You want a
Oh
calm
yeah.
tone? Just ask. On demand. By the way, now would be the time to say that I narrated the audiobook for Take Me to Your Leader. Available wherever books are sold. Okay, so
Amazing.
so where was I before I distracted myself? What was I
We
talking
were
about?
talking about the what you actually think. You're
Oh yeah,
not
So
necessarily the cosmic, but
I'm in agreement with Stephen Soter, who said, think about it, any civilization that is hell bent on colonizing other planets to the point where that is preoccupying their mission statement and their goal and their reason for living. Think about it. There'll be a point where halfway through you start running out of planets.
yeah.
Okay? And then I say, wait a minute, I want your planet. Your planet has more resources than this other one that's on my sites. I want your, no, and you say, no, I'm keeping my planet. And then we fight over it. And everybody starts fighting each other for the ever more limited planets that are available because it's in their DNA to always want to colonize. And then the entire system of exploration collapses under its own greed. And that is exactly what happened to Europeans when the British and the French and the Portuguese and the Dutch and the Spanish, they're carving up the world in the 16th and 17th and 18th, Africa, the Americas, Asia. And then there's the point where they start fighting each other. That is exactly what happened. And I'm amazed that Brits and the French are friends at all today,
No.
given the history that of y'all in this. And the Brits,
I'm an Irish woman. Let's be careful here. Let's be careful here.
Excuse me.
We
Excuse me.
were the first that were colonized.
Excuse me. Yeah, because you're right across the river there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The straits.
They were like,
of
"Oh, let's test out our theories over here. What can we do?"
Test it first. So,
Mm.
so
But
that
yeah, I see
to
what you're
me,
saying.
that is a structurally, it's structurally cultural or culturally structural, where it doesn't require any other assumptions other than your greed,
Yeah.
and that way everything implodes and nothing ever happens at all.
Yeah.
That's my
It I,
sense of the Fermi paradox.
yeah. I see what you're saying, and it makes sense if we assume that an alien civilization would have the same inclinations that we would. Um which is like, I kind of guess when it comes down to it, as you said, we still have limited resources in the universe. So I think it comes up in Shishin Liu's Dark Forest book as well, doesn't it, where it's like about, any intelligent species is going to recognize there are limited resources, and if you want to survive as a species, you need to get your hands on those resources. So we can talk about that on a planetary scale, but
Yeah, but the universe is
ultimately
really, really, really
it's
big.
really big. I
Really
know,
big.
but
So when I think about it, is if we turn the related to that, mildly related, if we turn the solar system into our backyard, then where access to it is as routine as getting on an airplane, then the access to resources becomes essentially unlimited relative to our population. And as such, that future will no longer have wars that are triggered by limited access to resources. We might still have wars on who you pray to or who you have sex with or what side of a line in the sand you're born on or how reflective your skin is to sunlight. But this other category of war where I need oil or I need, you know, none of that would be happening in the Straits of Hormuz today if there was unlimited energy, right? You would
yeah.
not, this whole category of human conflict would go away. So, but for people to think, oh, I need so many resources that I'm not going to tell people about mine because no, the universe is big. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as convinced of the quarantine
Okay.
hypothesis as others
All
are.
right. Fair. I understand.
Do you realize
um,
that in a metallic asteroid, your average run of the mill metallic asteroid will have more gold in it than all the gold that has ever been mined in the history of the Earth?
no,
Just as an
what?
example, just putting it out there,
Wow.
okay? Because it's pre-sifted. A metallic asteroid was a planetesimal that had already separated with heavy things falling to the center and light things floating to the top. Earth did that, okay? So it's hard to think of rocks as being light, but it's the lightest thing on Earth, so it lands at the top, right? And you go to the core, that planetesimal gets smashed to bits. Most of the asteroids that come out of that are from the crust and mantle, and a smaller number come from the core. And the core is where the heavy stuff fell: the iron, the nickel, the platinum, the gold, the give me more, the iridium. And so it's already pre-sifted for you. So yeah, I'm not buying it.
My personal feeling comes down to a bit more to do with the scale. And I just kind of go like, once you start to really understand physics and you understand like the universe, then it comes down to a question of uh, not about whether life is possible or whether life is out there. It's about whether we'd ever actually meet it. So you mention in the book that like one of the fastest objects we've sent out there is the New Horizons probe, and it's traveling at 0.005% the speed of light. And that would take 80,000 years to get to Alpha Centauri, which is our nearest neighbor.
The nearest neighbor.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not commensurate with human physiology, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Hmm.
well, that means then that there's a few solutions to the problem of whether there is alien life or where they are. And it's about like, okay, so if you could basically, if we say, like, well, we know that it's not physically possible realistically for us to travel to another star system.
For
If
us, right?
aliens did come, if there were suddenly aliens in the sky above us, what's the most likely scenario of them actually getting here? And it's like we have higher dimensional beings. We don't understand the universe well enough yet, and there are ways to warp for full space time, and our technology just can't achieve it. Or the classic, we're in a simulation, and the aliens are the ones that built it. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm in the book. I do hold the aliens to the well-tested laws of physics,
Mm,
um, but I don't hold them to any constrictions related to technology.
yeah.
So I'm going to give them uh, negative matter. I don't. If
All
they
right.
figure out a way to
Okay.
make negative matter, then they can pry open a wormhole, for example.
Yeah.
Regular matter collapses space time, and negative matter would open it up. So I'd give them that, or I'd give them chips that they can reach half the speed of light. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say we haven't thought about it, therefore they can't do it. In fact, I spend a couple of pages highlighting the difference between people who started saying what was impossible versus what is actually impossible.